Are edibles better than smoking weed? I'm gonna give y'all my perspective as a drug addict, as someone who's done a lot of drugs over the years, but weed was always something that I struggled with. Today, I only use edibles, and quitting smoking was one of the best changes I've ever made. All right, so the first thing, smoking doesn't just consume your lungs, it consumes your attention. I was the type of person who stayed high for most of the day, always thinking about that next smoking session, always planning around it. But Raj, it's a whole ritual. I gotta roll my J, I gotta light it. The whole process takes 40 minutes, and then I gotta eat. Brother, that's a whole waste of time. A lot of mental energy gets spent maintaining the habit. You don't realize how much time and effort goes into just smoking and planning around it and just the whole activity until you stop doing it. With the edible, you take it and you move on with your day. There's a delayed onset, so you just wait for it to hit. You just pop it. That's it. No rolling, no packing bowls, no stepping outside every few hours and worrying about the smell, no interruptions. When you do this and start taking it as an edible, weed becomes more of a substance instead of a ritual and a habit. One thing that people don't talk enough about is the dopamine aspect of it. I'm an addict. I can get addicted to almost anything. And smoking delivers that instant reward, that instant gratification. When you smoke, it's like cheap, easy, free dopamine hit for doing absolutely nothing. Light it up, inhale, immediate effect. You're fried. But them edibles, that's a delayed onset. So you got to wait a little bit longer for your dopamine. It forces patience, and you're not just in it for that instant dopamine rush and that you get from the act of using. For addicts, delayed gratification is a huge advantage. Like, I'm telling you, I can never go back to it because I got to manage my dopamine. I feel significantly more productive on the edibles. When I would smoke, it would make me goofy, distracted, and comfortable doing nothing, happy with being average or mid, content with life. That's the thing with weed, is that it makes you content with being mediocre, with doing nothing. But with edibles, I get less of that. So it just works better for me because I have a business to run. I have responsibilities. I can't spend all day zoned out and fried. I got shit to do. Let's talk about the dirty high theory. So I'm just going to be speaking from my experience, but I 100% know that this is facts. So smoking has always felt dirtier to me. If you compare it to an edible or a vaporizer, they feel different. Even a dab. Why is that? Because when you're smoking weed, you're burning a lot more than the THC and the cannabinoids and the terpenes. You're burning all that plant matter, which is causing, toxins and carcinogens to go into your lung, which is creating this more of like a dirty high effect because you're burning these plant materials. If you've ever used a vaporizer, you know that it feels a lot smoother because you're getting none of that. You're just getting your THC, CBD, and the terps. But when you're actually smoking it with a lighter, you're getting all of the byproducts of combustion. So it feels heavier, foggier, and it's just harder to function, man. Like, this is 100% facts. And if you don't believe me, go try an actual vaporizer, not a cart, a vaporizer. So that's why even people will say smoking feels stronger. It doesn't necessarily feel stronger. You're just used to that like extra high you get from the combustion, the toxins, and the carcinogens. It gives you that illusion that you're actually higher. And it took me a while to like get used to this or get off of this, because whenever I would use other forms of weed, I'd just be like, damn, I feel like I get higher off of smoking it. But that's not true, man. You're getting high off them toxins. Let's talk about why I haven't quit yet and growing out of weed. So some people ask me, why haven't you quit? The reality is, quitting weed for me becomes a full-time job. Every ounce of focus goes towards not using. And as I said before, I got a business, I got goals, I got responsibilities. So I'm no longer in my psychosis. I switched the type of weed I'm using and I'm cutting back. I feel like a lot of people eventually like outgrow weed with age. It just stops becoming exciting, fun, magical. And I feel like I'm almost there, man. Like I don't want to smoke anymore. I don't do any other drugs, even with the psychedelics. What used to be weekly or monthly for me is now like once a year, just so I could process things alone. That's it. So weed is really the last thing I'm trying to quit. Them edibles be aight, but smoking wasn't doing it for me, man. I just couldn't function that way. One quick tip for homemade edibles is that if you're using them, use lectin. I like to use liquid sunflower lectin. It increases the absorption so you can keep on taking the same dose of edible without it really affecting your tolerance. I just can't go back, man. The difference in functionality is huge. I'm using less, I'm more productive, I'm thinking more clear. Is weed perfect? No. Am I aware of my usage and that it could be a problem later down the line? Yeah. Am I cutting back? Absolutely. But comparing it to where I was years ago, just knee deep in pills and other substances, it's not that bad.